Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling and the latest podcast. I'm your host, JP John Poz. With me today, of course, returning guest, the former WCW World Heavyweight Champion, the former WCW and WWF Head Writer, Mr. Vince Russo. Vince, how you doing?
What's going on, John? How are you, bro?
I am good. I am good. As far as you and what's going on in your world in 2000, we were last week or a few weeks ago, we were talking about Slamboree 2000. Now we're going to be talking about Great American Bash 2000, which was on June 11th, Baltimore, Maryland, at the Baltimore Arena, 7,031 people in attendance. The tagline, a battle of heroic proportions. Pay-per-view buys only 85K, but was up from last month's Slamboree, which was only 65K. So you're seeing a 20,000 people increase as far as the pay-per-views are concerned. Are you concerned with the pay-per-view numbers at this point?
Nah, I'm really just concerned with the TV show.
So WWF, just to throw it out there, King of the Ring 2000 did 475,000 buys, which was a few weeks later in June. So obviously WWF pay-per-view buys are kicking ass.
Yeah, yeah. Who won that King of the Ring? Do you know?
King of the Ring 2000. Wow, was it Kurt Angle actually won that one? Yeah, Kurt Angle.
Interesting.
Took me a little bit to remember that, but yeah, Kurt Angle won that one. I don't know, without Austin in 2000 WWF, it's weird. They were like on a roll. They were hot. It was just like I think everybody was so used to it, and they were still selling out, still doing well. But without Austin, I feel like they were a little creatively bankrupt there for a while. The Triple H versus Rock feud just never ended.
Yeah, I never saw any of that stuff, man. Once I went to WCW, I was 100% concentrated on WCW. So I have no idea what they were doing during that time.
So as far as you guys and WCW at this point, this show is kind of interesting because there's some swerves, bro, like you love. There is some interesting swerves going on here. So the commentators will be Scott Hudson, Tony Schiavone, Mark Madden. The pay-per-view actually starts off. We have the WCW logo. We have some recap videos, and it's all about Goldberg's return to WCW and highlighting that security will be on the outside of the building, kind of waiting for Goldberg and watching Goldberg. So the show is basically wrapped around you kind of promising beforehand that there might be a surprise that will change the wrestling business forever. Do you recall this? And was this just a ploy to get people to watch the pay-per-views?
I don't remember at all. I don't think I would do that. I don't think I would just make something up to get people to watch the pay-per-view. So is this Goldberg coming back after putting his hand through the window?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of having a feud a little bit with Tank Abbott, and they're teasing a little bit of like Rick Steiner feud just as far as Nitro and building this up. He's basically returning, and the big push for the pay-per-view is not only his return, but also that something big is going to happen. It's going to be basically a huge change in the business, one of the biggest events in the business. That's what like you guys are teasing. Now, call me crazy here, but there was a rumor back then that this tease was you were going to get rid of the ring.
No.
Do you ever remember that? Is that true? Do you remember that rumor?
God, no, bro. That's freaking ridiculous. God, no.
I remember reading that and being,
no,
infancy of the internet here, but that was one of the rumors that he's going to get rid of the ring. What? How the hell are they going to have matches? Yeah,
I don't even know how does something like that even get started, bro?
Literally have no clue.
I have no clue.
What about the fact that you were going to get rid of all the wrestlers and change them and make them like replace them with actors? That was another rumor that was going around. Would that ever happen?
Oh yeah, bro, absolutely. We were gonna have actors show up at the arena with no ring. Yeah, that was the plan, bro. That was definitely the game plan. Yes.
I feel like back then you could just throw out rumors out there, and not everybody would see them. So it just kind of just went off into the ether, and nobody would kind of care. But like,
yeah, I mean, whatever. I never heard of either one of those.
Wow. Okay, so you weren't going to replace the wrestlers, and you weren't going to get rid of the ring. Okay, that's good.
No, bro, no.
Interesting. Okay, those are just two funny rumors that are out there. You could just throw it out there into the ether back then, and there was no there's no follow-up or anything. It was just out there. Kind of like Warrior, there were two Warriors. You just throw that out there. Paul Orndorff died of steroids. You just throw it out there in these rumors.
Bro, even if you were going to replace the wrestlers with actors, say for argument's sake, bro, that's like That's like a 2 to 3, like that would literally take 2 to 3 years to do. My contract wasn't that long at WCW. Like
Right.
literally, that would take at least 2 to 3 years to accomplish.
What would you have done without a ring? You just wrestle on the floor?
I guess so. In the catering, I guess.
Interesting. Weird.
Yeah.
But as far as this pay-per-view is concerned, so you are promising something big, something that would change the business.
Bro, I have said in the past, and I don't know if even you know this or not, John, but when Vince and I were writing together during the height of the Attitude Era, and it was just the two of us, okay? Vince turned to me once and said, Vince, there's going to come a day where there's no longer a wrestling ring.
Whoa.
Vince said that to me. Vince said that to me, and I've said that before. That's not the first time I've said that. I've said that before.
Why the hell did he say that? What the hell does that mean?
I guess because we were starting to do so much more outside of the ring. So I guess that's why he said it.
Wow. Interesting from Vince there.
Yeah.
So we get the Great American Bash video package, and then again, we're promised a huge surprise for tonight. It's promised. Huge surprise. So that's kind of like the overarching theme here, that you guys are promising something big. Do you think you can deliver on something like this?
I don't know. It depends. I don't know what it is, so we're going to have to see how the show pans out.
All right. Then at first, we have the Misfits in Action coming out to cut a promo comedically, kind of kicking off the show. Do you like that? Starting off the show with maybe a little comedy with the Misfits in Action.
I think that's what's missing big time in wrestling today, bro. Where is the comedy? Like there is zero comedy. Everything is so freaking serious. At least in the past, you had Sami Zayn with the Bloodline, which is ironic, bro, because Sami Zayn's comedy is what got him over, and then they tried to make him into a serious wrestler, and nobody believes Sami Zayn can beat anybody. And then you had R-Truth with his little skits here and there, but you don't have good comedy anymore. You have stupid skits, but you don't have good comedy anymore.
Do you think because they can't do it? You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't be able to execute it?
They're not capable of doing it, bro. I'm talking about like the level of when Vince McMahon, I think he was trying to hide out from Steve Austin or whatever, and he stumbled where Mick Foley was, and Foley wound up wanting to play Twister with Mr. McMahon and all that stuff. No, they can't do it. They can't do it. I mean, guys like Mick Foley could do drama, could do comedy. I mean, he could do it all. They're really not capable. Well, and not only that, bro, they're not giving good comedic material. They're giving stupid material. There's a huge difference between funny and stupid.
Do you think the Misfits in Action were set for something or designed for something bigger and better, or were they kind of right in the middle of the card?
No,
kind of
it was just an attempt to find something for a bunch of good people on the roster.
Almost like a mid-card comedy act, so to speak.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Remember when Jeff Jarrett said that to Christian, that he was just nothing but a mid-card comedy act? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that. No.
That was in TNA. Yeah. Just great line. I love saying that, mid-card comedy act. Great.
Yeah, I love that. That is good. Yeah.
Great line. So the first matchup, Lieutenant Loco defending his WCW Cruiserweight Championship against, believe it or not, Disco Inferno of the Filthy Animals, getting a Cruiserweight title shot here. Wow, Disco.
I hope he's doing a job here. I hope Disco's doing a job.
DISQO, Disco. Remember when he was at the Filthy Animals, changing it up?
That was his idea, which is funny to me. Yeah.
So Lieutenant Loco with Misfits in Action defeat Disco with the Filthy Animals to retain his Cruiserweight Championship. The match went about 5 minutes.
So Lieutenant Loco was Chavo
Guerrero. Yep.
Okay. Great. Okay.
By the way,
that was probably a good little match.
I don't know. It was too short, and with the Misfits and the Filthy Animals out there, was too much distraction.
Going on.
Yeah, I feel like it was almost overkill. It was almost a cluster, if you will. There's too much going on.
Yeah.
Disco, by the way, recently, I don't know if you heard this. I think you probably have. He said that you're a mark, and that you should be on that list that you made of.
No, bro. What I did, what I swear, what happened was, I went to the Giants Rocky game yesterday. And I got there early, and one of the Giants starters was warming up in the bullpen. So like I was right over seeing, I mean, I'm looking down, he's right there warming up. So I took a picture of him warming up, and my wife turned to me and called me a mark.
Oh my God.
And I put it out on social media. I put the picture out on social media, and I said, my wife just called me a mark. But I will say this, John, here's the difference. Here is the difference. I love my baseball. I love my Giants. Yes, I took pictures of him warming up in the bullpen. But a few minutes later, Logan Webb was signing autographs for all the Giant fans. He was literally signing for at least 15, 20 minutes. I did not try to get an autograph from Logan Webb. So you see, I am not taking a picture because I thought that was pretty cool. He's in the bullpen. It's an overhead shot. I thought that was pretty cool, but I'm not going to run up to a baseball player and ask for an autograph.
Gotcha. Yeah. I was talking about, he mentioned that you put that thing, if you're a mark, you're this, and you had that list that came out.
Yeah.
He added something to the list. He said, if you are a writer and you wrote yourself in to become WCW World Champion, you're a mark.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's correct, because that was my dream, bro. My dream ever since I was a little kid was I wanted to be the WCW World Champion one day.
And you wrote it down. You wanted that picture with the belt, right? And all that stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
So getting back to Great American Bash here. So after Lieutenant Loco defeats Disco, the Animals attack.
Just so everybody knows, bro, and just so you know too, John, I know you know this, so just so everybody knows, like the shenanigans going on around the ring that John's talking about, that doesn't come from me. That's the talent laying out the match with the agent, and they come up with all that stuff. All I tell them is, this is the finish we need. I just want everybody to understand that, bro, because I never overstep my boundaries. And when it comes to the match, that's their expertise, and that's what they do. All I care about is the finish.
Gotcha. Good point. So the Animals attack, then Major Guns ends up stripping Tylene Buck, a.k.a. Major Guns, ends up stripping, and she gives Pops, remember the old guy Pops, who's like the old general, she gives him mouth to mouth, and kind of a funny comedic spot here. He pretends that he needs more. He pretends he's knocked out again, so he can get more mouth to mouth.
It reminds me of, what was that movie, My Boy Blue? Remember My Boy Blue? What movie was that? With whatchamacallit?
Steve Martin, My Blue Heaven?
No, that's
Old School. Old School. You're my boy, Blue. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You're my boy, Blue. You're my boy,
Blue. Yeah. That's probably where I got it from, to be honest. It would have to depend on what came out first. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where I got it from.
No, I think Old School. I don't remember what year that actually came out.
It would really have to look.
Let's see what year that came out.
If that came out first, I might have stole it. If we did it first, they may have stole it from us. That
movie is great.
That's a great movie.
2003 it came out. So no, you guys did it first.
Yeah, see, they took it from us. Yes.
They Old School stole it from WCW. Yes. So after the mouth to mouth segment's over, the crowd was loving it. They're loving Major Guns, obviously, and we show Eric Bischoff and the Cat are in the back. They're kind of going over some strategy. Bischoff's nervous though, because Goldberg and his monster truck are kind of around the building. So
that's the big swerve. Goldberg turns heel. That's the big swerve. If you're telling me about Goldberg and a monster truck, that's what happens.
Yes. Okay. Well, you're giving away the finish a little early there, but okay.
I'm sorry. Well, when you put those two together, then I got you. Yeah, so that kind of is a little big, but go ahead.
Next up, Chronic, Brian Adams and Brian Clark versus the Mamalukes, Big Vito and Johnny the Bull. This is a tag team match to determine the #1 contenders for the WCW World Tag Team Championship here. So Chronic gets the win in 9 minutes and 20 seconds. They are now the #1 contenders.
I want to point something out. I want to point something out here with these first two matches. Because, bro, like, I see this every single week, and it makes me sick to my stomach. Bro, in the first match, we had Chavo Guerrera and Disco. Okay? Mm-hmm. John, who's my boy?
Disco.
Who went over?
Chavo.
Okay. The next match, we got Chronic against the Mamalukes. Who's my boy?
Vito.
Who went over?
The Chronic. Adams and Clark.
Exactly. Today, bro, I swear to God, there are so many favorites going over, and you know they're going over because they're favorites, and that's a big, big, big part of the problem today. But I do want to say this, bro. Like, I swear to God, like, I think Chronic was awesome. I mean, the look of those two guys, like, my God, I don't know. Bro, did they ever get a shot together at the WWE? Did that ever happen?
No.
Oh, my God. I don't know why.
Well, they got a match with Undertaker and Kane, but they never got like a fair shot. Literally one match, it was not good, and then they were gone. So it was weird.
God,
They didn't get like a fair shot, but they got a match. Yeah.
Yeah, but my God, bro, they were freaking money. They look like money. They look like $1 million. They were both great dudes, man. Man, I think that was such a missed opportunity for the WWE. I wonder, bro, what was really the psychology behind what WCW guys they signed and which ones they didn't. I would love to know what their mindset was and what went into that.
I heard it was all financial. Like if the guys was making too much money, they wouldn't do it, and they were asking guys to take pay cuts. AJ Styles, remember, he was under contract at WCW, and they wanted him to take a pay cut, and he's like, "Well, I can make more money at home. Like, why would I do that?" And they wanted him to go to HWA. So it's like, so he obviously ended up in TNA eventually. Crazy.
Because I remember when I almost went back in 2002. I don't know if they had already done the invasion angle. I don't know, but that was the conversation I had with Vince. You got to bring the WCW players in. You got to bring the big guns in. And I laid out a plan for him of how to do that he really, really liked. And I think he would have done it. But, it never happened.
Yeah. It's so weird, though, Joe. If you think about it financially, like you got to spend a little money to make a little money. So bring in Goldberg earlier and all these other guys. They basically brought in DDP and Booker T, who agreed to do pay cuts, and all the other guys sat home, collected that AOL time order money until their contract ran out.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the interesting little wrinkle to this match where the Mamalukes, why they lost, Big Vito kept getting distracted by the Hardcore Championship because a few weeks earlier, Bischoff had awarded Vito and Johnny the Bull the Hardcore title together because they helped him beat Terry Funk for the Hardcore title. So the whole thing was that they're both technically Freebird rule. They can defend the kind of the title any way they want, but they're both technically a Hardcore champion. So Vito was very distracted in the match because he wanted to be Hardcore champion by himself, and that kind of created some dissension with him and Johnny the Bull.
Interesting. I like that little wrinkle. I like that.
Eventually, Big Vito will win the Hardcore title outright from Johnny the Bull. Then eventually he'll lose it to incoming Lance Storm, but that's a different story for a different day as we head to the back. And Pamela Paulshock, who might have been my favorite, by the way, at this point. She's in the back doing an interview with DDP. DDP's talking about Kimberly, that betrayer that she is, and Mike Awesome, who he's going to have an ambulance match with tonight. So interesting there. I don't know if you were a big fan of Pamela Paulshock or not, but I was definitely.
Disco had a big crush on Pamela Paulshock. Disco.
Wow. Okay.
And I don't know if anything ever. I never really asked them anything about that personally. I don't know if anything happened, but I know he had a big crush on. Whatever happened to her? Do we have any idea?
No, I know she did some acting and stuff after that, but I don't think she ever made it to the big time or anything like that. But I know she did do acting.
She was good. She was really, really good. She was good.
So the next matchup is an ambulance match: Mike Awesome versus DDP Diamond Dallas Page with Chris Kanyon. If you remember the pay-per-view before, Mike Awesome injured Kanyon severely, which is basically setting up this match. Mike Awesome interfered with the triple cage match with Jeff Jarrett, DDP, and David Arquette. He threw Chris Kanyon off of the cage onto the ramp.
That was one of the most devastating bumps I've ever seen.
Yes, and the ramp went down and everything else. Yes. So Mike Awesome beats DDP in this ambulance match, 9 minutes, 45 seconds. Pretty good match, but here's the swerve, bro. Kanyon and a little bit of Eric Bischoff, but really Kanyon turns on DDP to help Mike Awesome, and Kanyon basically starts a feud with DDP, but he helps Mike Awesome, the guy who injures him, win the match. He helps Mike Awesome win the ambulance match. Why, bro? Why did Canyon help Mike Awesome after Mike Awesome tried to end his career, bro?
Oh, I wish I could remember, bro. I really do. I wish I could remember. I guarantee you there was some kind of a promo or something on Nitro the next night. I can't remember, bro. I wish I could tell you.
So basically, well, Canyon's explanation of it, the announcers are so funny. They're so serious. How could he do that to his best friend? They're like discussing it. But his whole thing was that Bischoff is him at the hospital. I guess technically Mike Awesome would apologize, but he was just doing what he was paid to do. But DDP didn't care. DDP is supposed to be his friend. He's being a phony, and he's so selfish. DDP, he wasn't there for him, and now Cannon's to take the opportunity to turn on him since he turned his back on him while he was injured.
I buy that. I buy that, bro.
But DDP's his boy. DDP was there for him. But
Not
Canyon
anymore.
doesn't think he was.
He was hogging the spotlight. It was all about DD bro.
Do you think that's a little too many swerves there? Isn't that a little too crazy that the guy tries to break his neck and he helps him win a match?
You can never have enough swerves, bro. Is it any different? Is it any different than Bronson Reed practically killing Seth Rollins with no explanation there? There was never an explanation there. What about that, bro?
You know what Heyman said, which actually did kind of make sense.
Send me a hamburger.
Well, yeah. Well, okay, besides that, he said Seth knew from him, Bronson Reed attacking him, that he needed to get this guy on his side because he didn't want to have to go up against him again because he beat his ass so bad. So kind of in a weird way, like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Like you want to align with the guy that kicked your ass because you don't want to get your ass beat again. It's like, I guess.
Well, yeah, if you want to bury Seth Rollins, that's great.
Oh, I thought it made him look like more of a chicken shit.
But he doesn't come across like a chicken shit. If his character was he was a chicken shit, that would work. But Seth Rollins has never been portrayed as a chicken shit. He's always out there calling everybody out. Well,
Heyman in a way kind of, I don't know, maybe he sounds like he's outsmarting everybody, like he got Reed to join.
What they should have done is Heyman should have made the deal with Bronson Reed without Seth Rollins knowing about it.
Right.
That should have been the story because Seth Rollins would have never went along with it. There was a relationship between DDP and Canyon. So there was there's a couple things here. There was a long-running relationship, plus you had a very, very manipulative Eric Bischoff. So all of that makes sense. And that would have made sense, bro, if Heyman would have made the deal with Bronson Reed without Seth Rollins' knowledge. That would have made sense.
The only thing they did with that was Braun Breaker didn't know about it, so they did it without him knowing. That was the only kind of
it should have been Seth not knowing. And then, bro, that would have given them literally weeks of storyline, and they totally didn't go that way.
Is Canyon being truthful here? Because Mark Madden just on commentary is basically saying Canyon is being truthful. DDP was very selfish. He was DDP. He was not there for Canyon when Canyon needed him. Is that true?
Well, listen, we all know Paige, and I like Paige very, very, very much. I've never, ever had an issue with Paige. But, bro, we all know Paige is a self-promoter. I mean, that's what Paige does. That's why Paige is where he is. I mean, he's a great, great self-promoter, DDP yoga. I mean, that's what the dude does. So a lot of times, Paige is programmed to make it all about him. I don't think it's about ego. I really don't. I think with Paige, it's about sell. Seriously, bro. He's been that way. Bro, I remember when DDP Yoga was just a concept and he was writing a book and he was, he wanted me to look at the book. He's always in that mode. I don't think it's an ego thing, bro. I never felt an ego from Paige.
So G.I. Bro is up next, who of course is Booker T with the old gimmick in a boot camp match against Shawn Stasiak. G.I. Bro comes in on a hang glider. He's getting the old Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 12 entrance here. Yeah. So yeah, that's like a little bit of not overkill or overdoing, but it's like really maybe giving him something extra here, like a cool entrance here on the hang glider.
Yeah.
G.I. Bro will defeat Shawn Stasiak in the boot camp match. Goes long. It was 14 minutes. It's a long boot camp match here.
Bro,
it's okay. Not bad.
Here, I swear to God, bro, like here's the difference. All those guys including Booker T, including you Morris. What's
Bill DeMott, Captain Rection,
Bill DeMott, Chavo, all those guys. I remember who was the guy from New Orleans in there with the red
Lash
hair?
LaRue.
Les LaRue, all those guys. Bro, I can tell you this, they were having a good time doing that. They were having fun doing that, and they appreciated that I came up with it to get all of them on the show. I could tell you that. Bro, how many guys do you see at the WWE right now, like a Karrion Kross, that you know are absolutely freaking miserable? It's important, bro, to keep the boys happy. And no matter what anybody thinks about the MIA, those got dudes, two things. They were having fun, and they were very, very happy to be a part of things, because before I was there, they weren't.
Gotcha. So despite Chuck Palumbo's interference, G.I. Bro still gets the win there. Like I said, 14 minutes was okay. Felt like it was a little bit long, or maybe a little too long of a match, but overall okay there. G.I. Bro is headed in the right direction with that victory. Do you like him as G.I. Bro at this point, or do you think that he needs to be BTZ? He needs to be Booker T?
No, I think it's fine, bro. It's not long term. I mean, we know it's not long term. We know it's just to give these other guys a little rub. And like I said, bro, he was the one who suggested it to me. How would I have known about GI Bro? He told me about it, Booker. So we knew it wasn't a long term thing, bro. It was just to kind of give this group a little shine with a big star like Booker.
Next up, Canyon is in an interview with Mean Gene. DDP is back and attacks Canyon after being put in the ambulance and sent away. He's back and he attacks Canyon. He's pissed, obviously setting up the big feud there with Canyon and DDP. And then we have Goldberg's monster truck in the back. Again, we see it drive by. Goldberg is in the house. Eric Bischoff is not happy. He's scared.
Yeah. Bro, you know what's funny about that too? I believe, and maybe this is because a lot of times when we talk about this stuff, it jars my memory a little bit. Maybe this is a little bit what Mark Madden is talking about. Bro, I know Paige didn't really want to be in a program with Canyon.
Okay, why?
Yeah, I remember that vaguely. I can't remember, because I remember it kind of shocked me because they were boys. Yep. I don't think Paige liked the angle of Canyon stealing his gimmick. I don't think Paige liked that, but I do remember Paige was not for doing a program with Canyon, which really shocked me.
Positively Canyon. He was doing the bang and everything.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Next up, we have Shane Douglas defeating the Wall in a tables match on about 8 minutes and 12 seconds. Okay match here. Just an interesting thing, with the tables. And obviously, they're working out by the crowd. They're working up by the entranceway. Kind of a crazy bump that Wall takes through a couple tables to take the loss. Like they're high up on the ladder. He goes through basically 2 or 3 tables and takes a fall. Looks like he could possibly land it on his head there. But I guess that's a good way, maybe. You tell me you're thinking of Wall losing, Shane getting a win, but not actually getting pinned or submitted. Like it's just a table match.
That just makes him a tough guy. A little crazy, a little out of his mind. And again, bro, they're coming up with those spots. I'm not telling anybody to go through 2 tables off a ladder. I just want you to understand that that's the talent coming up with those spots.
So as far as Shane and the Wall, Shane gets the win, but the Wall kind of kept strong here. He gets up after losing, going through the tables. He's unhappy with the referee that he lost. He's saying he shouldn't have lost. He gets up, he chokeslams the referee through another table he had set up. So the Wall kept strong here. Yeah,
bro, that's the one thing I always try to do, man. I always try to protect everybody. I Like, I don't know. Did you see Gunther and Jey Uso?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how we protected Gunther by losing to Sami Zayn. I don't know how we protected Gunther by losing to Jey Uso. And I don't know how we protected Jey Uso, Monday night. And I think every time you don't protect a talent, it takes a little bit away from that talent. There's always, bro, There's always got to be some kind of an out. You always got to try to make them shine at the end. There's always got to be something like, bro, that would have been a perfect scenario because everybody had forgotten all about it. That would have been a perfect scenario to use Kaiser. And that could have protected Jey Uso. That then you can go off to the races where you could do something with Kaiser and Gunther. But I don't know how everybody, when they have a match, they should benefit in some way. Everybody should benefit in some way. I don't know how Jey Uso benefited from that on Monday.
I did like his promo afterwards because I played it for my son, and he's actually been like listening better.
He cut a promo on TV.
No, it was just for the live crowd, but
okay, I didn't see. I didn't see that.
He brought his son into the ring, and he was saying
Yeah.
like, love your parents, be a good kid, and like teaching his kid like a lesson and stuff. I thought it was good. I was like,
why didn't they do that on TV then?
I have no idea. I thought it was cool, but I have no idea why. I feel like they've been doing that a lot, where they do stuff after the show that should be on TV, but I don't know what.
And how can Netflix be happy about that? Like seriously, man, why would you put that on social media? Whatever.
Yeah, it seemed like it was just for their social media. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
So Scotty Steiner. Oh, actually, first Hulk Hogan arrives to the building. He's looking a little Hollywood-esque, but he arrives to the building. Then we have Scotty Steiner with Midajah and Shakira versus Rick Steiner versus Tank Abbott. Versus Rick Steiner and Tank Abbott. Handicapped asylum match. This is weird. So you got the small cage, and really there's not a lot of room to do anything in this match. So it's like you could say an MMA cage, whatever, but it's enclosed, but it's way smaller than that. It's like a little pit almost that you created here. What's up with the asylum match? Who's I guess is your
I wanted to kind of make that Scott Steiner's gimmick. Like you've got to get in there with him, and that's why it was smaller. There was kind of nowhere to go. I mean, I wanted to make that part of his gimmick.
So you would think, because it's a handicap match in the asylum, that would work against Scotty Steiner, and given the fact that Rick Steiner and Tank Abbott maybe the two of the toughest guys on the roster, but Scotty gets the win in the handicap asylum match. He's still the U.S. champion regardless, but or regardless of that. But Steiner gets the win. Do you think that's a little surprising at all? Like it looked like the deck was kind of stacked against him, but he wins anyway.
Well, again, that's the guy we're trying to make. You know what I mean? And like I said, I wanted that match to be his gimmick. I mean, bro, even today, when you tell me those three guys, Scott Steiner is the star. I mean, nothing against, Rick and Tank, but, there's only one Scott Steiner, bro.
Scotty does get the win in a little bit less than 4 minutes. So short match, nothing like great or nothing to write home about. I guess that's just simple, short and sweet execution. Scotty Steiner's going over, and he's got to look strong.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, arrives to the building with his family. So the whole family is there, which is interesting because Cody, if you remember, early Slamboree, I believe it's 90, I want to say Slamboree 95. He's on TV for WCW. Charlotte Flair is on TV for WCW early on here. So everyone thinks they made their debuts in WWE, but really they made their debuts in WCW.
Yeah, and I always claim I love to piss people off because two things piss people off. Number one, the fact that I was the world champion and I gloat about it. They hate that. And number two, I tell everybody I discovered Charlotte Flair, and that drives them absolutely bananas. Yeah.
Hey, you got to look how good she is. That's a pretty good discovery. That's like one for the resume there. Right?
Absolutely. You're right up there with the heavyweight title win. Yes.
So here we go. Goldberg back again with the monster truck drives by again. So that's the theme throughout the show. There's a huge surprise, and Goldberg is in the building, or around the building, not in the building yet. Then we have a Hulk Hogan, Billy Kidman video package, because for some reason, these guys have been feuding for months. And I know this is your fault, and really Hogan's fault for the flea market comment, but they've been feuding for months here. Why really, again? Why are you doing Hogan and Kidman again?
Is it really months?
Yeah.
Is it really months?
Yes. We're in June now, and they've been feuding since April. So 2 months.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Not really. I mean, we're trying to help Billy Kidman, so not really.
But this is not Big Boss Man here. You know what I mean? This is not this big feud where they're going to feud for months. You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
is Billy Kidman. What's going on here? This is
I'd have
crazy.
to go back and see what we did for the 2 months. It's hard to say. I can't remember the shows.
Why do you think you went back to Hogan Kidman again for like another match? Like why keep him feuding?
I don't know.
Do you think it was working though, as far as maybe getting Kidman over?
I'd have to see the matches, John. It's hard for me to say without seeing the matches. If it wasn't working, I don't think we would have continued to do something that we didn't think it was working. So even if it wasn't working, I'm pretty sure we thought it was working.
Hogan has a
But also, bro, you got to keep this in mind too. Hogan had the power to 𝐒𝐷𝐄 it. So if Hogan didn't want to do it, Hogan would not have done it. I mean, it would have been that simple. We wouldn't have been doing it if he didn't want to do it.
Do you think doing this feud led to his disgruntledness over the Jeff Jarrett stuff? Do you think that
hurt
it?
I don't think so. I don't think that has anything to do with it. No.
So Hogan has a promo backstage with Mean Gene. Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan, if you will, dressed up in Hollywood gear again, defeats Billy Kidman with Horace Hogan as a special guest referee. Hollywood gets the win in 11 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay match here. Here's the weird part, though. Torrie Wilson turned on Billy Kidman in this match. So kind of inadvertently, or maybe purposely, but she turns on Billy Kidman. She kind of helps Hogan win, even though Horace Hogan's the referee there. If Hogan would have lost, by the way, he would have to retire. If Hogan wins, he's number one contender for the WCW at Bash at the Beach. So there was a big stakes involved in this match. Crazy. The worst timing. Torrie Wilson got another swerve here. Why is Torrie Wilson turning on Billy Kidman?
Well, bro, because you gotta understand the whole premise of this is Russo and Bischoff just took this whole thing over. So like everybody's switching sides, bro. Like, everything changed at the top. So you're really picking and choosing what camp you're going to be in. I mean, that's why a lot of this makes sense just coming after me and Bischoff, coming together and being on TV.
Do you like those stakes? Hogan, number one contender if he wins at Bash at the Beach. If he loses, he has to retire. Do you like the stakes of that?
Yeah, because we're confident that we're getting rid of Hogan and there's no way he's going to become the number one contender at Bash at the Beach. Yes.
With that, right? I mean, those are some big stakes. You're promising some surprises. Do you think that's almost too much? Because even Flair's match, when he wrestles David Flair later on in the evening, his match is if Flair loses, he has to retire. So you got basically Hogan and Flair here. If either one of them loses, basically you got two retirement matches going on.
Bro, we're trying to get rid of them. Like, that's the storyline. It's the new blood versus the Millionaires Club. I mean, that's the whole storyline. So no, it's not like we're just having a random retirement match. The whole storyline is we're trying to get rid of these guys.
Do you think, though, it makes it less special that both of them are on the same card? You know what I mean?
What difference does it make if it's less special? They're paying to watch the pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? So either you're paying to see Flair get retired or you're paying to see Hogan get retired. I don't know how that's hurting you in the pocketbook. You know what I mean? I really don't know that to me is a wrestling mark thing. When you think about a casual fan, like, holy shit, one of them's going to be retired. I mean, that's what you're thinking. And if you're a fan of Flair or a fan of Hogan, either one, you want to see what happens. So I think it's perfectly fine.
Here's a crazy question. Do you think that Hogan and Flair were thinking that you were trying to get rid of them? Like, I know it's a storyline, it's wrestling, but do you think they turned the work into a shoot?
I know they were. 1,000% I know they were. Absolutely, yes.
So they were turning work into a shoot in their own minds.
Absolutely, bro. Freaking Hogan has said the story of, brother, somebody told me, and I know he's your boy, I always stick up for him, bro. People always say to me, why do you always stick up for Hogan? And I say, because I probably wouldn't have had a job if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan. Let's be honest. But Hogan has said on the record, Oh, bro, people told me when Russo came in, you know, he said that his goal was to get rid of all the old timers. No, bro, I never said that. That was never my goal. That was never my plan. But that is certainly what they convinced themselves of. Certainly.
You know what's funny? Hogan, he always says, "Don't work yourself into a shoot, brother." You know what I mean? He always that's his line. Yeah,
Absolutely, bro. No question about it. Bro, the whole bash at the beach thing was like the whole bash at the beach thing was, and people don't freaking understand it because marks don't understand business. Dirt sheet writers don't understand business. The whole thing behind Bash at the Beach was Hulk Hogan got paid every time he appeared on Nitro. He got paid. So Hulk Hogan wanted to win the belt. Why did Hulk Hogan want to win the belt? Because he knew if he won the belt, he'd have to be on Nitro every week. So he wanted to win the belt because every time he's on Nitro, it's cha-ching. That was the whole deal behind that. And you know, I knew that. I understood that. And you know, I didn't want him to win the belt. That wasn't the plan. That wasn't the direction we were going. But that's what it was all about, bro. He knew if he had that belt, he was going to be on TV every week and continue to make big money.
he's a Babe Ruth of wrestling. He's a god. But even I talked to Sullivan about that. He said Hogan was more about Hogan and like him going to movie projects. He's the champion. Him being on TV more, getting more money. Even when he lost to Luger on Nitro, which was an awesome moment, it was so great. Sullivan made such a good point about it, and I said, "Wow, that is so true." It wasn't to combat whatever WWF was doing at the time with SummerSlam. And nobody even was paying attention to WWF at that point in '97. He was saying Hogan knew that if he gets back to Road Wild, if you will, more people will watch the show in order to pay because he got pay-per-view points. So if there's a rematch for the title they just lost, he goes, and how much more money did he make? He's like, we probably got a 50,000 bump by. It was 200 some thousand. He probably got a bump. He goes, and he got points from them. Like, wow, bro, that's so smart. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
And let me tell you something, John. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, of course not. Yeah,
there's got to do what he's got to do. Yeah. The dude is a businessman first. Yep. There's no. That's why I didn't have heat with him. I didn't have heat with the career. I understood. I know business. I knew why he was doing what he was doing, but at that time it just wasn't best for the company as a whole. That's all.
Yep, and obviously wasn't good the storyline either. It was kind of more Jarrett and Booker T and everything else going on. So yeah, but that's a different story for a different day. We have covered that in the past, though. If anybody wants to check that, we actually have covered that in the past. Yeah. So next up, we have Ric Flair versus David Flair with Vincent Russo. Interestingly enough, with him, if Flair loses, he retires.
Bro, that's not bad for a 64-year-old guy. Look at that.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, John. I got mesmerized with myself. Go ahead.
Ric Flair defeats David Flair with Vince Russo via submission, 10 minutes, 15 seconds. Actually, really not a bad match. Maybe one of David Flair's best. Obviously, we know he was not great. Obviously, Ric Flair might be the greatest, but he wins via submission. You are out there. Reed Flair's out there. The family is out there as well. So there's a lot going on with this match and you and David and Rick. But it's funny. It's Rick and his family versus David, who's his oldest son, and you, basically. After the match, though, you get on the mic, you cut a promo, and you challenge Ric Flair for Nitro. You want him retired. You're so sick of him.
Yes.
Do you love that, though? Are you loving the fact that you're getting involved in his family drama?
I don't. I mean, I love it in the fact that I think it's good TV. I mean, I definitely think it's good TV. And you know, bro, a freaking East guy on the East Coast in a wrestling promotion that was really Southern. I mean, there was a lot of. I thought there was a lot of good heat. If people go back and watch that, I thought there was a lot of good heat.
Oh, you are hated. There's no doubt. So the next night on Nitro, just to throw this out there, I know we're not covering, but just throw it out there. Retirement match, since you threw it out there, David and Vince Russo defeated Reed and Ric Flair to retire Nature Boy in Richmond, Virginia. Wouldn't last, obviously, but just to throw that out there.
Very nice. Is that where we shaved his head?
Yeah. You guys. Yeah, he was not happy with you about it, by the way.
Bro, and that's another thing. And that pissed the shit out of me, bro, because I know he said something about it in his book. Okay? Bro, that was 100% 100% Ric Flair's idea. Ric Flair came to me with the idea of us shaving his head, and I fought back because it was Ric Flair. I'm like, are you freaking crazy? Nah, Vin, you got to do it. You got to do it. We got to get heat. You got to do it. You got to do it. So we did it. He suggested it. We did it. And then he writes a book and blames me for doing it. That's the stuff, bro, that like freaking pisses me off to no freaking end.
And the marks hate you for it. They think it was your idea because he said that.
Absolutely not, bro. Bro, do you think I'm going to suggest to one of the greatest wrestlers of all time that we're going to shave his head? Like, come on, bro. So much of this business is freaking logic. That was not a thought in my mind. David Arquette winning the title was not a thought in my mind. But again, Flair was not only suggested it, basically said we had to do it. And I said,
and
okay.
then blame you for it. Blamed you for it.
Yep.
So Flair gets the win here, keeps his career, but the next night on Nitro, not so lucky. Him and Reed actually wrestled against you and David. You guys do retire him. So another one for the Russo resume here. You're retiring the Nature Boy. You and David.
See, bro, when you everything you're talking about, bro, this is going to be loved by the casual fan base and hated by the marks, without a shadow of a doubt. Everything you're talking about today, it's the complete opposite. Today, everything they do is for that mark fan base, and nothing is for the casual fans at all. And that's why you've got that number down to people watching wrestling to a very, very small number.
So next up, we have a video package for Sting and Vampiro, another feud that's been going on for a little bit. I got to be honest, though, I do like this feud. I do it's a different side of Sting where Vampiro's getting a push. I like Vampiro, so it's an interesting thing. This match, however, not so great just because, I don't know, it's very strange. Human torch match. You have to set the guy on fire.
Very nice.
I know WWF did it with Kane and Undertaker, but it was just Kane's arm that got caught on fire. You know, the Inferno match. This is a human torch match. You got to set the guy on fire. Vampiro will end up defeating Sting in this human torch match. They actually go all the way up to the Titantron, if you will. Vampiro sets Sting on fire on the Titantron, and Sting jumps off and flips and falls down on the ramp, basically, and destroys the ramp. He's on fire. Didn't look like it was Sting. The paramedics obviously rush out to Sting's aid. They help him and kind of bring him off in the ambulance, and the announcers are sending it off like Vampiro's a sadistic psycho. Can't believe he did this. He almost killed a man. Like they went crazy about this, but it didn't look like it was Sting. I doubt it was. It looked like a stunt man, but the guy dressed as Sting is set on fire, falls off the ramp, and Vampiro wins. 7 minutes, 20 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. Obviously, bro, again, we're trying to get rid of the Millionaires Club. Obviously, that's the whole storyline. Number two, bro, I know Sting is the nicest guy in the world. Never, ever gave me a hard time. Ever, ever, ever. I love the dude. I know he didn't want. I know Vampiro was driving him crazy. I know.
Yeah, I always heard that. I was just talking to somebody about this recently. They didn't like each other, but it's more because Sting didn't really care for his partying, his antics, his everything else.
Well, and not only that, bro, Vampiro is very ravenistic. You know what I mean? Like those guys, man, they just walk to the beat of their own drummer, man. And I'm sure when they were laying out the match and stuff, I'm sure Vampiro was over analyzing everything. I mean, that's just what he did. Once you know how guys like Vampiro and Raven are, you're fine with them. You just know how they are. You know what you're gonna get. But when you're a guy like Sting who's so low key and laid back and will do anything, and maybe you're making things more difficult than they are, it's just going to get very, very frustrating to them.
Yeah, it's interesting that those two really didn't have a great relationship. I remember talking to Vampiro about it. He's like, he hated me. He didn't like me or whatever. He was basically saying the same thing.
I don't think it was that at all. I think it was just probably Vampiro overcomplicating things in everything he did with Sting. I guarantee you that's what it was.
And some guys just don't mesh. You know what I mean? Some
Yeah,
guys are
yeah,
just different.
absolutely, man, absolutely, absolutely. And I don't, you know, I was cool with both those guys, but that's very hard, bro. When you know there is some kind of a problem when they're working together, but you're trying to get this done for TV. That's difficult, man.
Do you think Vampiro needed this victory over Stinger? Like to help him get the push, if you will.
I don't think he needed it, bro, because Vampiro was unique. I mean, and cool and over. Again, this is all just storyline driven, all of it, bro. We're trying to get rid of these guys.
Do you think that Vampiro and even a Shane Douglas, are they main eventers? Like, do you see them as getting a push? Do you see them higher up on the card?
I don't see them as main eventers, but I see them as very, very important players. But I don't see them as main eventers. I mean, Vampiro was a gimmick. You know what I mean? And he was cool. You know, bro, I swear to God, that's another thing that's missing in wrestling today is people that are cool. Freaking Fatu is so over because he's cool. He's cool, man. The stuff that he says and the way he carries himself, he's a cool dude. Vampiro was cool.
I've heard some stories about Fatu, by the way. He's like the modern day Haku. I've heard some crazy stories.
I wouldn't doubt it. I would believe. I would see. That's what I'm saying. It's real, and he's cool, and it's not bad acting. You know what I mean? And that's why he's over.
Yep. So Bischoff is in the back with Pamela Paulshock. He says there's going to be no more big surprise for the show. He's saying that it's off. There's no more big surprise. Screw this, whatever. Because he's so upset that Goldberg's around the building, driving around, and they're kind of portraying him as like he's scared. So obviously lending into, like what we said before, a big swerve, bro. There's a big swerve coming. So it's Jeff Jarrett versus Kevin Nash for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. We have Michael Buffer back again doing the announcing duties there. Jeff Jarrett will end up defeating Kevin Nash to retain the WCW Heavyweight Championship. Match goes 17 minutes and 20 seconds. Was okay match. Just interesting to note during the match, the cat interfere, the filthy animals come out, interfere. Rick Steiner, Tank Abbott are out there. Scott Steiner is out there. All hell breaks loose. The Goldberg monster truck arrives. Goldberg is out. The announcers are calling for him to take out Jarrett. Everybody in the crowd possibly thinks he's going to be taking out Jeff Jarrett. They're both standing there. Nash even points to Jarrett for the spear. Goldberg makes the turn, decides, nope, you're going to spear Kevin Nash instead. He turns heel. Goldberg spears Nash, helps Jarrett retain the title. Heel turn, Swerve, Bro, Russo, and Bischoff are out there to celebrate with Goldberg and Jarrett and the show. You guys are hugging Goldberg too to end the show. So he's loving Russo and Bischoff at this point. What is going on here? First of all, the title win by Jarrett and the Goldberg heel turn and the swerve.
Yeah, bro. Listen, there's infamous pictures out there of the three of us that I always see all the time.
Yes.
Bro, when a talent doesn't want to do something and a talent isn't isn't on board, that talent is going to make sure the angle falls flat on its face. And that's what Goldberg did. Goldberg did not want to turn heel. He was never on board with it. And he was going to make sure it fell on its face. And that's why, bro, the 99% of the time when I know somebody doesn't want to do something, I say, forget it, because I know they're going to make it fail. We didn't say forget it this time because we thought it was important. And Goldberg was never on board with it. And I saw him just recently make statements about how he wished he would have turned heel or just something. And I'm like, well, bro, that's what we tried to do with you. But I guess he was talking about WWE. I don't know. But this was destined to fail from the beginning because he did not want to do it.
My problem with it was, do you think the crowd wanted him to turn heel? You know what I mean? Like with Hogan turning heel, the crowd was kind of turning against him a little bit in WCW. Like they were kind of sick of the yellow and red and stuff. Like, do you think here that Goldberg had just came back? He was kind of really hot. The crowd was really amped for him. Do you think it was the right time to turn him heel, or does that add to the swerve that the crowd didn't see it coming?
I don't think it really adds to the swerve, bro. Well, it does add to the swerve, but I also think, bro, if you're going to turn somebody heel, that puts a tremendous amount of heat on him because he was gone for so long and they were anticipating his return. And then on his return, he screws the fans. Bro, if you're going to turn somebody heel, that's the way to do it. They're waiting for this guy to come back, waiting for this guy to come back. Finally, he comes back. And, the story is we got to him during his time off and we convinced him. So it was a perfect time to turn him heel if you want to put heat on him.
Does that basically, you guys, surprise is going to change the business? Does that equal the surprise? Is that like good enough as far as you guys were promising? Does that equal your surprise that he turns heel?
I definitely think so. The first time Goldberg is ever a heel, I definitely think so.
Do you think it was predictable at all? You think it was totally unpredictable as far as the swerve?
I think it was totally unpredictable because, again, there was the anticipation of Goldberg returning. He'd been gone for so long, and everybody was looking forward to his return.
You guys really did try. You know what I mean? As far as like,
oh yeah,
he beat up Duggan. He turned on Duggan, who was this big babyface USA. He had Scott Hall's contract, remember, and everybody wanted him, and he beat Nash, which I can't believe Nash agreed to that storyline. But anyway, he agreed, and he ripped up Hall's contract and like spit it out, and like, so he did that. He even lost to Booker T. So you'll even give him a little chink in the armor. He's getting a loss. It's like, I know you guys were trying to do it. So I guess, like you said, he wasn't on board with it at all. He wasn't going to give his effort for it.
And bro, that's another thing I want to say when you bring that up. Bro, I swear to God, I don't care if you love this show or if you absolutely hated this show and hated my booking. It's what John just said. And for as much as Bischoff and I were oil and water, bro, we're trying our asses off. We are trying. We are working freaking hard. And bro, as far as I'm concerned, that's all that really matters, because I watch every freaking SmackDown and every freaking Raw. And my God, bro, you talk about freaking mailing it in. So I could care less whether you love this show, whether you hated this show. Just by John laying out this show, I am seeing and being reminded of the effort that we put into this show. If the WWE took half of the effort today that we took back then, they'd have double the amount of people watching on Netflix.
There's definitely a lot of effort for sure. And obviously, you're teasing Hogan's retirement, you're teasing Flair retirement, Sting and Vampiro's got their thing going on. What do you think overall of the show? Like the way I kind of laid it out, are you giving it a thumbs up? Do you like it? Do you think
I like
a lot of the matches in ring wasn't that good, to be honest? It felt flat in ring.
Yeah, I like the show because that's the storyline. We're sticking to the storyline. We're trying to get rid of these guys, retire them, set them on fire, take them away in an ambulance, whatever you have to do. We're trying to get rid of these guys. So under that umbrella and under that theme, I like what we're doing on the show.
Do you think with the Goldberg swerve and him turning heel, that will turn people over from WWF, which is red hot, to you guys to see Goldberg turning heel, because he was kind of the hottest babyface for WCW for a long time?
I swear to you, John, I'm not thinking about the WWE at this point. I'm just thinking about our show. I'm not watching what they're doing. I didn't see, I never saw Kurt Angle's debut. I never saw any of Kurt Angle's and early stuff. I was not watching them. Bro, you know how it is in sports, John. Like you can't, and you're a Yankee fan, right? The Yankees aren't worrying about the rest of the teams in the division. They're worrying about what the Yankees do. It was the same mentality, bro. We had to fix our show. So I wasn't looking at, oh my God, bro, if we turn Goldberg heel, we'll win the ratings Monday night. That's not what I was looking at, bro. This was all long term. You're not going to increase the ratings, bro, until you have good, consistent programming week after week after week after week. And it could take a freaking year or 2 years. So I wasn't looking at it that way at all, John.
Gotcha. All right, let's wrap this bad boy up. Head towards the plugs. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. How about you, Vince?
Yeah, guys, if you've never been a Patreon member, you can go there right now and get a free week of the brand. It will cost you nothing. Patreon.com/Russo TWC.
All right. Thank you to Vince. Thank you to everybody out there for listening. We'll see you right back here next week for the latest podcast. We'll see you next time, folks. Have a good one.